It doesn't have to be a stream from beginning because it's the endless talk about guru. So when we give initiation to people, few things are, as our tradition has been done. First of all, we follow the instruction to describe divine position of guru and as well as meaning of holy name. And so many different type of yogas. Yoga means connection. So karma yoga, jnana yoga, vibhuti yoga. Many yogas described in Gita. Many more exist in the scriptures. You know, it's all lead to bhakti yoga. But bhakti yoga is a complete process. It's self-sufficient. It does not require any other yoga. And the highest part of bhakti yoga is the chanting of holy name. Abhitvam nami namina means the name is none different than Krishna. So in different tantras like Gautama Tantra and other tantras, they're describing so-called Durlabhika mantram. Durlabhika means useless mantra, fruitless mantra. Just like, you know, some men, they cannot produce child. Some women, they cannot produce child. So Durlabhika mantra means some mantra with dur. Dur means like stupid or fool or empty, not without potency, which is pretty much mundane sound. And that Guru Maharaj explained, it's like blanket bullets, just a sound, no power. And the power of mantra come through parischarana, means service of mantra. So when you are talking about Krishna mantra, Krishna nama, Krishna, name of Krishna, it's required not just the serving of name of Krishna, it's required to serve Krishna's divine abode and devotees. Janma karma chime divyam smaram yaveti tatvata. So who will understand my janma, my birth, my karma, he will be liberated. That means Krishna is not alone in spiritual world. And in fact, if you don't serve devotees, Krishna is really careless. Krishna say, Yemi bhakta jana partha, I don't believe Hare Krishnas. Mad bhakta paramam bhakta, who's believe in my devotee, that I take seriously. Why is that so? Because Krishna is ultimate Swayam Bhagavan, ultimate God. So how can you reside in spiritual world, focus on God without being focused on devotees, Vrindavan? And if you think of like, what is Vrindavan? Like think of this, like every tree, every leaf, every insect, every bug, every fly, everyone, the cows, the cowherd boys, what to speak about them? Everything in Vrindavan is manifestation of Chinmoy, pure consciousness, and they're beloved servants of Krishna. So then, how can you enter that realm if the dust feet, according to Guru Maharaj, is Guru? So think of this. Everyone is a Guru, everyone is divine in that sense, and without appreciating devotees and appreciating world of Krishna, there's nothing to do for you. Like you can worship Krishna here, well, Krishna is everywhere. So that's why Krishna is not recognizing somebody who does not focus on devotee. So Srimad Bhagavatam explains about three types of, devotees. One of them, Archanam eva Hariye Pujam Yad Shraddhaya Chad Balisheshu Chad Vitsu Chabhakta Prakrita Smritaha. Who's materialist? That means he only see gods in the temple, but he not see God in heart of devotees. Chabhakta Prakrita Smritaha. This devotee look like devotee, but he's materialist. His belief is materialistic. Not substantial, not real. But at least he start recognize God. But his recognition is just a limited recognition. The second type of devotees, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, is the type of devotees where have knowing that how to serve senior devotees, how to befriend devotees of their level, and how to give mercy to those who are upcoming devotees. So that devotee is very, beautiful position, because that devotee has discrimination ability. He knows how to understand, all right, this is a senior devotee, I should give him respect. Okay, this is my equal devotee, my maybe god brother, or like somebody I'm friend with, and he's kind, friendly, and accessible for service. And he thinks, oh, this person just coming, let me help him. So this discrimination ability is the highest form of, spiritual intelligence. on our level. And then Bhagavatam Atmanam, one who see pure devotee, he see Bhagavatam Atmanam, he see Krishnas everywhere. So like you see Govinda Maharaj, he's, not really doing so many things maybe, but you can see him and you remember Krishna. So pure devotee like Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, Gurudev, and other high-level devotees. Just by seeing them, you'll see, okay, Krishna's everywhere, Krishna consciousness, and they're conscious of Krishna. So that this kind of devotee is rare, Chamahatma Sudurlabha, so it's not easy to find that kind of devotee, but once you get into connection with that devotee, immediately some kind of Krishna consciousness wake up in your heart. So I remember when Govinda Maharaj came to Moscow and coming just on the Indian festival, everybody's like this. Why they're like this? Because immediately some appreciation come to their heart. Oh, this must be a very important person. They don't know, what's his religion, but they feel it, the power of devotion within the heart of devotee. So then naturally when we will achieve level of devotion, we not only will connect ourselves with Krishna, also everybody connect with us will be Krishna conscious. And an example for that, like Srila Prabhupada coming here to this, place, LA, America, San Francisco, many people are pious people, but his divine presence wake up their sleeping Krishna consciousness. So there might be sleeping, but in connection with pure devotees, your heart wakes up. And this is our great fortune. Rupi Brahmanya Brahmite Kon, Bhagyavan Jiv, Guru Krishna Prashari Bhai Bhakti Latabish. So when we talk about Bhagya, the fortune, what is the Bhagya? Rupi Brahmanya Brahmite, with traveling so much, life after life, Guru Krishna Prashari Bhai Bhakti Latabish, getting seed of devotion through Guru and Krishna. Does not mean that our evolution is done. In fact, this is like beginning of the real expression of Jiva soul. Otherwise, you have no freedom. You're already wrapped up in karma. You have certain breath, you have to breathe, certain children you have to produce, certain places you have to leave, certain things, and it's all in your chart. Then if you would think like this, you say, where's my freedom? It's everything described. It's already described my good time, my bad time. So what am I doing here? Just playing some kind of a character and, follow the script? But it says, no, Bhagya. The fortune comes where Guru Krishna Prashadabai. And that is the only way, actually, you have full-fledged freedom to be Krishna consciousness or not being Krishna conscious. So, like you can say, hey, I'm not going to be Krishna conscious anymore. That's your full freedom. Or you say, I want to be Krishna conscious. But even if you want, so you want to become an Elon Musk, like, who cares? Or you want to be like, Michael Jackson and dance like Michael Jackson. It's also not going to work. So that means, how do you get that bhagya, that fortune? And that bhagya fortune lies in the worship of devotees. So when you come to devotees and get their blessing, everything is begin auspicious for you. And that's why Guru Maharaj said, Tridada Pisunichena. You have to be respectful to devotees, and you can't count them as a common people. There might be, doing right or wrong, or talk rough or sweet, but you have to take them on a different level. Like, don't think the people who have mercy of Krishna, they're common people, especially when it comes to high-level devotees. Like, don't try to estimate them. And Chaitanya Charitamrita begins, Krishnadas explaining how his own brother left Krishna consciousness. And why did he do that? Because he was doing puja to the deity, and then Minaketa Ram came playing flute, and he was Nityananda Prabhu associate, very high-level Vaishnava. And everybody ran to receive him and, embraced by him and blessed by him. And sometimes he hits somebody with a flute or slaps somebody's cheek. But that brother of Krishnadas Kaviraj was like, Pujari, I'm doing the deity worship. And Minaketa Ram immediately understood. It's not that you don't recognize me. He said, you're not recognizing my guru, Nityananda Prabhu. Because if you would be grateful, they would come to Nityananda Prabhu, a representative. Like, you would not see me. You would see Nityananda Prabhu. And so Krishnadas Kaviraj described, he said, my brother fell. My brother left Krishna consciousness. Yeah, he maybe remained Pujari, maybe remained Brahmana, but he no longer connect with this current of devotion, just for one simple offense. So you think such a great, Vaishnavas in time of Krishnadas Kaviraj, his own brother, and showing disrespect to Nityananda Prabhu through, not even directly Nityananda Prabhu, through his devotee. And that's like a failure of spiritual life. So why it's in the scriptures? And why does Krishnadas Kaviraj mention that? Well, he's one to showing that the key success of our spiritual life is connection with devotees. Especially when we're neophyte type, we can't understand who's real, who's not real. It's very difficult to understand. It says, Cha Mahatma Sudurlabha. So one time, Srila Prabhupada, Babaji Maharaj, Akinchan Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj tried to visit Prabhupada. And he was also chanting Krishna name, like Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So he came to Mayapur and said, I want to see Prabhupada ji. And he said, he's busy. Like big fat guys like stay on the door. Oh, he's busy. The guru is busy. And okay, he left. Then Prabhupada said, anybody come? And said, yeah, some like Bengali devotee, white clothes. And Prabhupada said, you chant Krishna, Hare Krishna? Yes, he chant all the time. We kick him out. He said, yeah, you kick out Babaji Maharaj, pure Vaishnava. Thank you. So go find him. So they went around, they found him. And they brought to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, I'm sorry, my disciples they don't know who you are. And Babaji Maharaj said, I'm not even qualified to visit you. You're such an amazing, exalted soul. I just want to get your darshan, your feet darshan, because you're made out fulfill desires of our guru. So it's very sweet exchange. So Babaji Maharaj did not say, I'm such an important guy. No, he said, I just don't even qualify to have your darshan. I understand you're Jagat Guru. I understand you're a busy man. But, I know you're pure Vaishnava. You fulfill desire of our Guru, so I want to have feet dust of you. So Babaji Maharaj is very humble and submissive. And Goswami Maharaj also told, when he came to Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, first they met Babaji Maharaj. He lived at that mat in the time and chant. And so they asked him something, and he said, the main thing is you chant Hare Krishna. So he made them sit and chant. And they sit with Babaji and chant. And when he was satisfied with their chanting, he said, come with me. And he brought them to Guru Maharaj. Because he said, I show you some exalted Vaishnava, but you're not qualified. So show me that at least you can follow Vaishnava instructions. So they sit down and chant with him, because he was always chanting Krishna Nam. But then being satisfied, okay, you're submissive. All right, I'll take you I show you real Vaishnavas. So he pushed them to Guru Maharaj's room. He said, see Paramahamsa Vaishnav. And how they could understand? They don't know what, they're newcomers. To them, it's Gaudiya Math people, who is who. So Guru Maharaj was very kind and received them. And that's the beginning of the auspicious connection with inner chamber of, worship of Mahaprabhu. Remember, Mahaprabhu has two positions. One is Antaranga and Bahiranga. Externally, he's Chaitanya avatar. He's coming to the world, chant Hare Krishna. Internally, he's Radha Bhava Duty Subulitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. Internally, he is Radha and Krishna in one body, who comes to taste and relish the divine ecstasy of divine love of Radha and Krishna. And it says, Radha Krishna Vikritir Hladini Shakti Asmat Eka Atman Rupo Taugatochi. It's like Radha and Krishna always in Vikriti. Vikriti is an interesting thing, because that terminology used in alchemy and Ayurveda. Vikriti means transformational. So you have Prakriti, means you're born Kapha Pita, So Vikriti is your Pita increase, or otherwise. Or you're born smart, become stupid, you're born stupid, become smart. That's called Vikriti, transformation. So what's your Vikriti? So Vikriti Hladini Shakti Asmat means Radha and Krishna unite for happiness, just like male and female looking for union, and sometimes combined together they experience external ecstasy, as we call it, sexual exchange. But in spiritual level, that is not physical exchange, that's exchange of the soul. So Radha and Krishna become one soul, and that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that soul is not formless, although it has a jyotir, the golden effulgent, but that is new form of Chaitanya avatar, Chaitanya Gauranga. Actually, avatar is another expansion of that form. Because in Kali Yuga, normal Kali Yuga, Chaitanya comes as Chaitanya Avatar. In this Kali Yuga, specific Kali Yuga, all this one day in time of Brahma, Chaitanya comes in two forms, as Chaitanya Avatar and Chaitanya Swayam Bhagavan. So original Chaitanya comes, because in this Kali Yuga, original Krishna comes. So out of 28 Vedavyasas in this Kali Yuga, original Vedavyas come as Krishna. So Krishna become himself Vedavyas, he become himself Chaitanya. And sometimes when he goes with his pastimes, we cannot understand the difference between original Chaitanya and Chaitanya Avatar. Like for instance, when he entered Puri Dham and Nityananda Prabhu breaking his danda, that means Chaitanya Avatar finish. And from the entering to the holy Dham of Puri, he's become Swayam Bhagavan. Because as Avatar, he has to just chant Hare Krishna and make everybody spiritual. But as Swayam Bhagavan, he has his internal hidden purpose to relish heart of Radharani. And that is his latest pastimes in Gambhira. So Guru Maharaj explains, see, this is like people don't get this, how deep Guru Maharaj is explaining. He said, so in Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, like why do we have this Mahaprabhu on altar? Because that's what it is. It's Krishna himself and Chaitanya himself, not any kind of avatar. And it's divine expression of the highest love. And, devotees are, devotees always stupid. There's nothing wrong with that, being stupid in Krishna consciousness. Like, I always say, Gurudev, can I ask you a stupid question? Gurudev said, yeah. So one time I said in San Jose, I said, Gurudev, can I ask you a stupid question? He said, of course. Like, how can you ask smart? I said, well, Prabhupada giving, Gaur Nitai, and you're established Mahaprabhu. What's the difference? And he said, well, when Mahaprabhu alone, it's Radha and Krishna in one body. When it's Gaur Nitai, it's Krishna Balaram. It's a different mood. It's distribution of mercy. I said, well, I understand that, but here's the thing. We know when Gaur Nitai comes, then stupid people like us get connection. But when Mahaprabhu alone, who can connect with this concept? And Gurudev said, yes, that's right. But he said, at that point, Nityananda Prabhu comes and Guru and Vaishnavas. See, that's not that Nityananda Prabhu is not there, but in the form of Guru and Vaishnavas, accessibility and extension, but at the same time, keeping this exclusive spiritual conception. And that's the inner wealth of Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, just like inner service of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gaur Gadadhar, which is like two pilots. The experienced pilot, Radharani, that give up heart to Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu, unexperienced pilot. Remember, Krishna receiving devotion, he's not giving devotion, and Krishna becoming devotee is very rare for Krishna. Krishna barely say, hey, what is my devotees feeling about me? So when Krishna become a devotee, he's very unexperienced in that. That's why he had Swarup Damodar and all the, his gopis taken form of male associates, and they're with Mahaprabhu. And the reason for that is also coming from scriptures, because one time gopis complaining to Krishna, they said, how come we rarely see you at nighttime for the dance and you're always hanging out with your coward friends? Like you with your boys, you with your friends, and we're your lovers, and we can barely see you. Then Krishna said, okay, I'm giving you blessing. When I come as Mahaprabhu, you'll become my boyfriends. So the gopis happily took position of Swarup Damodar, Ramananda Rai, other persons, and they hang up with Mahaprabhu. And because in Vrindavan it's not that easy to be with Krishna. That's why ontologically this Gaur Leela Amrita Sara Sata Sata Satadhara, it's the essence of all Leelas. If you really combine all the stories, I mentioned in previous time, many stories from Narad curse and Ramachandra appearances. It's come as different Puranas, not common. Some of them come from Shiva Purana, some come from Agni Purana, some come as Kurma Purana. That's not everything come from Bhagavat. Then somebody say, well, why don't we read all these Puranas? I ask Gurudev, have you read fully Bhagavat? Gurudev said, no, fully I have not read Bhagavat. Then Govinda Maharaj, who's exalted soul, not fully read Bhagavat, but he said, but the most important part of Bhagavat I heard directly from Guru Maharaj. So remember, spiritual knowledge is endless, but the most important That's like, it's not what you know. You're not Google, you're not GPT chat. What's the most important? That's what counts. And most important comes by the grace of Guru and Vaishnava. So what I'm telling you is not overview of all the scriptures. I'm just trying to explain you what Chaitanya Saraswat Mat is, because there are some newcomers and old comers. We always have to, understand what's our fortune and where we're coming from, like, because you always have this idea, what's the difference between you and ISKCON? And Gurudev said that they dress better, which is true, and maybe, they preach better, means more open, elaborate, which is fine. And, maybe better prasadam at a certain point, or better, like, dresses for the deities, because it's a lot of thing. But, so what's the unique wealth of Chaitanya Saraswat Mat? What is that we're coming here for, and what's our fortune? Then we need to learn to appreciate who our gurus are. Otherwise, we think like, oh, we are like, our gurus are second or third class people. No, they're not. Actually, they're first class. We may be third or whatever, last level, because it doesn't mean that we're high class, because they're merciful, but maybe we're not even worthy and not even understand what real dedication is. Of like, if you really look at all these missions run by ex-Prabhupada people, not ex, but what I'm saying is like older Prabhupada disciples that came to join Govinda Maharaj. Like, they all, for some reason, divine associates of Srila Prabhupada. But Srila Prabhupada sacrificed them for the service of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, because his idea was, Prabhupada actually never thought, I'll be the person. He said to Sridhar Maharaj, like, hey, I brought all these people, but I want you to be the president. And Sridhar Maharaj said, I cannot be president, I can be an advisor. I'm not, trying to manage things. When Saraswati Thakur asked Guru Maharaj, can you go to England? And Sridhar Maharaj said, I cannot mix with Western people. That's not my nature exactly. Hello, how are you? That's not my nature. Which is okay. So they sent Goswami Maharaj, who's Nityananda Bamsha. So one time Goswami Maharaj was hanging in London in the park, and no money. And he thought, he wrote some Maharaj letter. I tried to preach, and I don't have any resources. So but money's not coming. And he's like thinking, okay, so then I have no money. I don't have any, but I cannot even buy food. So, I tried to preach in this university, that university, and, people listening my lectures, and they're appreciating them, but there's no movement. No one wants to join. So maybe it's time for me to like pack my bag and just go back to India, which he did actually. But at that very moment, he'd been walking on a path and he found the Murti of Vishnu, small Murti of Vishnu, where in London Park, somebody put that little statue. It's in one of the Gaudiya Math. And that was a statue of Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Sankarsana, Vasudeva. And then he understood, oh, God is everywhere. Tat Vishnoh Paramam Padam Sada Pashanti Surayo. I must be getting indication from Lord that he's aware of my problem. So after coming back, they give him the envelope and they said, this envelope for you. And he opened the envelope. It's a check of 100 pounds, which at that time was a lot of money, coming from Maharaja Bharatpur or some other king that he approached for the donation. So he went to the bank, but the bank could not cash the check because it was his sannyas name, not his legal name. They said, it's not your name. Then he was so frustrated. He thought, like, it's kind of a like destiny playing games with me. I have no money. I've got finally that check, and now I can't even get that money. But then he thought what to do, and he saw a newspaper, and that newspaper was saying such and such person with his picture, Goswami Maharaj, deliver blah, blah, blah lecture in, Oriental Society. So he took this newspaper and showed to the banker manager, look, this is my picture, and that says Goswami Maharaj, that's me, and I'm a monk, and he's explained, and the bank people read the article and said, yeah, okay, we'll give it to you cash. So as a little story of coming to Krishna consciousness and struggle for, so when he came back dressed as a British, because, he just realized, I don't have to, impress these people with just being dressed Indian. He was intellectual and spoke with professors, so he dressed like a respectable, kind of like representative. And some people criticize that, but Saraswati Thakur, if you look at the pictures of early Gaudiya Math, sometimes he dressed his people in black, like priests. So Saraswati Thakur test different dress. He thought, okay, for India we go saffron, for like West we can go like a priest, we can have a black suit and collar. So he came back by the boat, and the Gaudiya Math people met him with the garlands and things, and he was dressed in like costumes because he didn't have the sannyasi clothes. And he was from Nityananda Bamsha, so people said, well, how's your preaching in the West? Is that successful? And they little doubt because he's dressed like a Western man. He said, well, yes, I've done a lot of talks. The problem is, in our philosophy, we have topics we cannot answer to foreign people. The foreign philosophy, we don't have an answer for them. We have answer for our own philosophy, but not for the foreign way of thinking. Then everybody was shocked. It means like Mahaprabhu teaching's not so perfect. It's not meant for everyone. Then everybody looked at Sridhar Maharaj, and he said, well, okay, tell me what's the question? So they asked that you could not answer. So he mentioned the questions. And, there's some stupid things like, can God create a stone that he can, all this bullshit. So, but anyway, there's like many speculative questions that in modern philosophy and Sridhar Maharaj answered all one by one. He said, no, it's not a big deal. You do it like this, or you do it like that. That's like this. Because he had ontological experience. He was not just an Indian man. You have to understand, Srila Guru Maharaj, not only that he's learned philosophy from Germans, he was Calcutta University student, so he had to study under, European professors who had little brain at that time. Comparatively, modern education today is specifically making people stupid. It's actually, as I said, it's reducing. Even like leading professor in Russia said, we're comparing the Soviet students and modern students, and we understand it's like maybe 80% deviation in education. Like people do social studies, like unneeded things, which is like, especially in America, California liberals. And you understand, the demons, they always entering education. And that's why all this Soros and all this, liberal education means like to vanish your ability to discriminate. It's all good. But it's actually, unity is judged by diversity. So diversity is to understand how same but different, like what is the difference? And that's where your intelligence really play. To say all is one, there's no need brain. It's no brainer. But to understand what's the difference between male and female. Lately, it's been a big problem for American politicians. They couldn't tell clear, but there are a few things, you can, external and internal, you can mention. And so why is that important? Because unity and diversity in Krishna consciousness. See, unity, it's a great principle, spiritual principle. We all one, and people like that they're chant this like monkeys. But what's the difference? What's the difference between, high-level coffee or low-level coffee? There's some coffee is very popular that they feed that coffee beans to little, animal like porcupine. He shit them out, and then they make it, fermented coffee. Have anybody tried that shitty coffee? Yeah, yes, she did, and Rupa always tries everything new. If I tell him, this is good shit coffee, he's going to buy it. He's going to pay. And see, the problem is he's sincere. He doesn't hesitate to say, yeah, I had a shit coffee. Yeah, it's good. But what I'm trying to say, then you would say, well, what's the unique flavor of that coffee? What's the unique concept? And why? Because it's what make you really to understand the world, the difference. Like, what is the difference between Mahaprabhu and Mahaprabhu Avatar? What's the difference between Radha Krishna and Krishna Avatar? What's the difference between Krishna Dwaraka and Krishna Vrindavan? What's the difference between this and that? And that means diversity. but not mundane diversity. Not diversity, which is, I think you need to put something on. Otherwise you feel cold and you die. And after initiation, we have to bury you next by the tent. Yeah, it's cremations. Now the fire is not allowed in California. You have to do Bhumi Samskara. It's called Bhumi Samskara. There's Agni Samskara and Bhumi Samskara. You can also do Bhumi Samskara, as the Christians do. Anyway, so one thing we can understand, it's the way to understand. And how do we understand? It's very simple. We connect with devotees, and in time we get to know what the difference is. Because in the beginning it's all, same, Krishna looks the same. I asked this Nepalese person, I said, which flute you playing? And I said, Krishna has 3 flutes, Venu, Bamshi, Murari. Which one you playing? What's the difference between 3 flutes of Krishna? So what's the difference between devotees? What's the difference between prasadam? Jagannath Prasad, people say Jagannath Mahaprasad. They don't know. Mahaprasad is what offered to Bimala Devi in Jagannath temple. That's called Mahaprasadam. And there's Jagannath Prasadam. And when Jagannath takes prasadam, he gleams at the same things. He accepts something and something he tastes. So it's not like everything Jagannath eat is the same. Everything everywhere is different. So that's Guru Maharaj's teachings. Like, find diversity, understands the difference in quality. Like, there's like gemstones. If you really go to pick the gemstones, some very careful expert, he can explain you why this gemstone is more expensive. Or when you go to art museum, the connoisseur will tell you why, or the music, art, music, movies, not all the same. You need to have a discrimination power, and that's called aesthetics and appreciation, and Krishna consciousness like that. So you have to be able to discriminate. In the beginning you can't, and that's okay. Nobody's expecting you to be the genius devotee, especially in the beginning. You kind of have to, shovel a lot of crap before you get to that point. And even, you might be frustrated that you didn't do it in this life, but that's not what we all hear. We're not, it's not like a one life journey. It's eternal journey. So we're not looking for, right to spiritual world. That may be billions of lives, ahead of us. But what we're trying to do on this level to connect with spiritual family. And, before this initiation, I asked Janardhan Maharaj, I said, is it okay if I give her initiations? Because, why is that important? Because we're not just trying to, initiate people and let them, okay, now you go to that forest and, dwell in with beads. Well, some people, I wish we can say that. But, all right, like, okay, you go. One of the movie said, so what would you do with children? I said, I would open the door of the car, tell them, okay, now you're on your own, you can go. So it doesn't work like this. So when we, inviting somebody into the family of devotees, we're also looking for their service connection. It could be big service or small service, or it could be mental service or physical service and participation, and that's how you grow. So, and when you don't have that direct opportunity, you take shelter of holy name, because it's not like you're always fortunate to be in a temple. It's not that easy, first of all, to be in a temple. Second of all, it may not be part of your life. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like things are not looking good from the perspective of global things. And, we could be isolated, we could be elsewhere. I mean, I'm pretty much sure this place will survive because it's a holy dham, very special place. But what I'm saying, in the world, like, I cannot go back to like Ukraine, most like next 10 years or more. Or I cannot go back to Russia either, because like I have, community in Ukraine and I have community in, Russia, and I always hate any kind of politics, including local politics as well. So that's why I understand it's all bullshit. But, you have to suffer consequences. Like, the world can be broken tomorrow in pieces, and it will be never the same again. And you might end up in different parts of the world with like no wire with your phone. You don't know what the world will be like, and it's the part of the drama. So what will remain with you is the holy name and your memories. And one day you have to leave this body, and that's not like a long time. Most of my friends already dead when I was like 20 something. Like most of my friends were not alive, so I was like lucky I'm alive. And so I know you don't have to become old man to die. The world is not working like that. A lot of people just dying, at their time. So considering all these things, that life is temporarily, it's not stable, you are not stable, you don't have much time left. What is that? What is the hope you have? Like, you have to connect, and make your connection substantial as long as you can. And your substantial connection means by service. You have to do something. You're not just coming here to receive. The giver is receiver. Spiritual world begins from your giving from your side, because mercy is there. But why somebody has mercy or somebody has no mercy? Why somebody has faith, somebody has no faith? Why somebody is advancing in Krishna consciousness and somebody is like just advancing in his weight by eating prasadam? So, and that is to the service. So, and service does not mean it's always the easiest, simplest way, but sometimes simple service works the best, like sweeping or cleaning or, doing something real. It doesn't have to be, not everybody has to be Janardhan Maharaj. He's reading Chaitanya Charitamrita every day. He's got an intellectual mind. He understands scriptures and go on. Not everybody's like that. You don't try to copy, but your participation is important. So the reason I'm reminding, I'm not like teaching anybody. I'm just reminding myself and everybody else here in this beautiful Samadhi Mandir that we're all members of Chaitanya Saraswat Math family. And some people don't really get it. Like, at certain point, Gurudev told me not to make too many gurus. Because I was 23, he told me, like, you become next Acharya. I said, come on, like, next Acharya? What does it mean? Like, when I was like 27, he told me, like, you will take sannyas. I was like, come on, man, I like this girl. I'm just thinking of marriage. And then in 33, I had to take sannyas. Then I'm thinking, it was like, what, 30 years ago or 20 years ago, whatever. I don't even know. But I think, what does it really mean for me? Then Gurudev had some vision. Like, Guru has a vision for us. We have no vision for ourselves. We're like, if it's our own will, we'll do the most stupid things, the easiest things. But Gurudev had the vision for us. And that vision of connection, the service. And then I realized, yeah, that's good for me what I do. And you know what? In time, I said, like, yeah, it was time I've read a lot of books. But sometimes I just don't read anything. But things coming to me from inside world, not like from the books. The stories I told yesterday, they come from Purana, but you don't link them. Why? Because they did not came for me by, study the books. They came to me by the grace. I read Socrates in my 40 in Ayurvedic hospital. Then I understood Socrates, I've read Marcus Aurelius, when I was 55, when I had a difficult time. So, my books are not came by just whimsical, intellectual studies. They came by blood and sacrifice and necessity. So I understand when your inner necessity for spiritual things, Krishna will provide you. Like, if you don't preach, why Krishna have to provide you things? But I'm a preacher, so Krishna daily provide me things. And even provide from different sources. And, like when I had Vyasa Purnima was my birthday, I had to meditate on that, and I come across 28 Vedavyasas. So I had to study all the 28 Vedavyasas, and so what's the difference between them? And it was amazing. Not one Vedavyasa. It's only in one, like, in one creation, like little part of creation, there are 28 Vedavyasas. So there's so many spiritual deep knowledge come, and we don't even notice what is that. And why? Because we're not able to digest all these things. And digestion, rasa virya vipak, is an important part of your Ayurvedic treatment. So if you have no digestion power, it doesn't really matter what kind of medicine you eat. you cannot digest anyway. So the good doctor, he tell you, like, it's not because you're not to taking medicine. You cannot digest medicine. So where does your digestion power come from? Agni. So there's Agni, fire of Sankirtan, fire of dedication. That's our digestion power come from. If you don't have that fire of dedication, your tejas, ojas, your bhakti, fire of your devotion, then it doesn't really matter how many books you've read and how many you chant. You're just, you're not really getting this real stuff because you don't have a necessity and you don't have a courage. So our life is to get that fire, to get that enthusiasm, to get that energy, and to be, in that current of Krishna consciousness as much as we can. And sometimes we'll be on our own. Sometimes we just, like normally this time, I would go to festivals, like 5-6 festivals, and I'd normally preach from like early morning till night, like 12 hours a day. It's okay. It's not really bothered me because, talking is not walking. But still, like you have to share with devotees and give them something valuable, not just blah, blah, blah words. So, and the end of the story is like people want to connect. And then you feel very bad if some people connecting and then they're just disappointed or they're disappearing or they're not accepting things or they're thinking, oh, I did not like Krishna consciousness. Now I'm going to become yogi or Christian, whatever. So it happens sometimes too. People get into the wrong path at their level because they're not ready for deep things. Krishna opened your door, but you have to be ready for it. So they said, Avadhut Maharaj, so how does that work? I said, when you're ready for good, good will come to you. If you have eyes, you will see it. If you're not ready, it doesn't really matter. I can drop a bunch of diamonds in front of you. If you're pig, you can make a difference between diamond and stone. So discrimination ability, the fortunate bhagya is an important thing. And accepting and converting this, mining this, like crypto, the cryptocurrency mining thing. So you have to also mine all this internal wealth in your heart. And then it's become pure and it's become substantial. So it's not just you heard something. So certain things I think about. And sometimes certain questions I've been answered after 15, 20 years. And then I said, I remember I had this question when I was young. But at that time I couldn't get it. So now I'm a little bit more able to appreciate that. Okay, I got it now. It took me 20 years to answer, to get understanding of one little thing. But that one little thing is so important. And it's something valuable. So it's not something cheap. You don't recite like a monkey. It's something that you realize. And it does not mean that this is it. What would be the next revelation? So there's Krishna consciousness is always revelation. There's never that there's no revelation. Like Janardhan Maharaj spoke today very nicely about Nityananda Prabhu Balaram. But it's a big topic of what is Mula Sankarshan. He support all the Vaikuntha. And then ask him questions. So what's the difference between Balaram and Nityananda Prabhu? And he's, to the chase, to the point, told a story how is that, Krishna and Balaram were kicked out from the seat. And why they were kicked out? Because in Kali Yuga, the expansion of mercy, that's what's more important. Balaram is not very merciful. Balaram is like, he's a guru of demons as well because he exists as a Ananta Shesh in low planetary system. So according to scriptures, Duryodhana is a king of Navata Kavachas from low planetary world. And he has connections with Ananta Shesh. And by the way, the great yoga teacher, Patanjali, he's also an incarnation of Ananta Shesh. So it's not like things whimsical or accidental. So he got his previous life connection with Ananta Shesh. So this life he become disciple of Balaram, but he's playing a bad guy, like in Tarantino movie. He's playing a bad guy, and he need to be a bad guy as bad as he can, because he's the scene personified, the ego, self-centered guy, very arrogant. So his guru, Shakuni, is also demon, also from low planetary world, and his guru of the Shakuni is also demon. So they're all a group of demons coming. So Madhvacharya telling this earth is always want to be controlled by demons. So if you think those politicians are good guys, remember they're like demons in a human dress. So whether they directly human or indirectly human, it's not. We're not in the conspiracy lecture of Avadhut Maharaj, but you can understand that in Kali Yuga, you get a bunch of demons everywhere. They're taking over everything, and they just want to take over the whole Hastinapur. Like that's what Mahabharata begins. The demons, Shakuni thinking, how do I screw the empire? Like by not directly by myself, by jacking up the ego of Duryodhan. So he's working with Duryodhan's ego, and he knows, because if I can grow your ego, you can destroy. Ego is a self-destruction. So demons know how to do. That's why they always tell you, "Oh, you're a great patriot. You're amazing. I'm doing this." You know, demons never tell you the truth. They always call you amazing. Because when you're amazed with yourself, then you're fully open. Yeah, I'm so amazing. I'm so wonderful. Then that means you're already open your self-critical part. Your ego is sleeping. So once your ego is sleeping, anything can be done with you. So that is means you have to. Your ego has to be an awakening stage. Say, I'm not amazing. I'm trying. I'm surviving. So, and that's where Guru Maharaj said self-adjustment, proper adjustment. So you have to learn how to adjust yourself, how to work with your true self without being, seduced by your illusion and delusion. And so that takes a lot of self-criticism and self-adjustment and reflecting things which you may not really want to do, because that's not a pleasant thing. But that's something that if you adopt proper way of Vaishnava thinking, then you understand why Krishnadas Kaviraj say, Jagai Madai say Muita Papishta. I'm worse than a worm in a stool. Anybody chant my name, get contaminated. Although, thinking like that of himself and being unqualified, Krishnadas Kaviraj writing the most revolutionary book called Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is a combination of Chaitanya Charita of Murari Gupta. It's a Sanskrit representation. Murari Gupta is Madhvacharya, who is coming as Murari Kaviraj into Gaur Lila. And as great Madhvacharya, he's giving insight on Chaitanya's biography. But it's a Sanskrit base, so it's for Pandits. That's why Krishnadas say, I'm not going to quote Sanskrit. It means like I'm taking that book. And also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur poetry. And Prabodhananda Saraswati is one of the most amazing, Vrindavan Mahimamrita and many other books. And he's one of the most amazing Vaishnava poet and, devotional poet. And he's Samadhi near Kaliagat in Vrindavan. But there's a story that Krishnadas Kaviraj spoke with Prabodhananda. And Prabodhananda said, yes, you please use my poetry in your book under one condition. And Krishnadas Kaviraj said, so what's the condition? He said, never use my name. Take my slokas, don't use my name. Why? Because Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur had an incredible poetry. And like, for instance, Jaya Radhi, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, what we're singing is Prabodhananda Saraswati. So he has incredible poetry, but he just doesn't want to be fame, and neither he doesn't want to be people to say, oh, this book is like not one devotee. It's like Murari Gupta Chaitanya Charita, and this is Krishnadas Kaviraj, and this is Prabodhananda, and this is the Bhagavat, and some slokas of Mahaprabhu. That's why most people don't understand how important this book is. It's in fact a compilation of like number of spiritual concepts that comes from Gaudiya Sampradaya and making the most powerful book ever. That's why, up to 13, chapter, there's a pure ontological explanation. Who is Krishna? What is going on? Because like most people don't know that. They don't get it. And especially 4th chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita is the most important one. But it's for those who can hear carefully. Hearing is important. So I'm giving you an overview of our tradition, the guru, the scriptures, what we do, what's the difference between us and ISKCON? They dress better, but there's also other difference that our gurus have seen, and the importance of this place as one of the expansion of Vrindavan, actually. Vrindavan and Mayapur and Navadvip at the same time. So you would not thinking, oh, you're somewhere else. It's a holy dham. And somebody say, yeah, it's not easy to survive in Soul. I tell you, I've been last few years living in Vrindavan. It's not hell of easy. One time I said, super hot. I can't stand it anymore. Just so cold, and they don't, like, the rooms are cold. You wake up like you're in ice bath. And I said, I just can't stand anymore moving to Dwarka. So I moved to Dwarka, stayed a few weeks in Dwarka, met all the amazing people and visit the most amazing places, like Jambavan Cave and Sudamapur, where Brahman Sudama live, and Revaitaka Mountain, Gomati River, Prabhas, etc. But it came later in my life, I'm sure most of you haven't even heard those places, but one day when the fortune will come, you'll be able to appreciate them. So I asked my friends in Dwarka, have you ever been in Vrindavan? They said no. And then I understand what they missed. All the Vrindavan's so cold, or in the winter it's so hot in the summer, but there's a special thing that we have in Vrindavan, which actually, believe it or not, the Radha Damodar is the most important temple. Half of that land is ours. And I remember some people complained the Russians took over. Yeah, well, we took over Vrindavan service. We took out 2 tons of garbage. 2 tons of garbage. So, and also I thought, well, fix a little bit, do a little bit what we can. Because takeover service is what we need. And, those who maybe criticize, they never stay in Vrindavan. Like, I've spent several months in Vrindavan because they could, the anti-party could just raid it over. But I thought, I know, like, they know the Russians there, they're not going to come and take it. Because it's not easy to mess with us. But I thought, what is that we receive by the grace of Gurudev? So one time we went to Gurudev, to Radha Damodar, Kanika Goswami, our neighbors, and they received Gurudev with the garlands and things. And, they give Gurudev a little book. And that book is a story of Radha Damodar. And Gurudev gave it to me, so I took this book, started reading it. Then I said, Gurudev, you know that story? And he said, what story? I said, the story of Rasa Bihari. He said, no, I don't know. I said, you have not known the story. And here's the story. One time, Jiva Goswami had special divine revelation of Radha Rasa Bihari. Means Radharani after dance, revealed to Jiva Goswami her divine form. And that's exactly the name of our deities in our temple. And I said to Gurudev, the Rasa Bihari story, you don't know. Gurudev said, no, what story, what story? But one thing I understand, he gave exactly the name that's mentioned in the book of Radha Damodar. That means Gurudev is channeling truth through his heart. He may not read that book, not read that story, but when he established the deity, he specifically called Rasa Bihari. That showing that, in the heart, everything connected with the divine truth. Then Govinda Maharaj was very happy to hear that story. I said, Gurudev, can I read this to you, a few lines? And this is Rasa Bihari, and you established that. And Gurudev was smiling and said, yes. Meaning like, yeah, it could not be anything else. It could be only one thing, ultimate truth. So think of this. Gurudev said, I didn't want to put Guru Maharaj in that garden where there's Saraswati Thakur, other, Vaishnavas, but he said, I want to put him in there because there's some like Sahajas, there's some, paid people, and there are many Gaudiyas, including the not friendly Gaudiyas. But he said, I want to make for Guru Maharaj separate memorial, dedicate to him. So this Vrindavan is actually a place of Guru Maharaj. But when you come back to Govardhan, you see it's place of Govinda Maharaj. Govinda Maharaj many times said, one day I will be residing in Govardhan. And really, when you go to Govardhan Mat, his samadhi, you understand that's him. His face, everything is him. And I believe one of the other place of him residing is the place here in SoCal. And so when they say, where do we get initiation? I mean, who we are to give initiation? We're connecting with him. And this is his place. He's residing here. And, you know, under the care of devotees like Hashipriya and the working team, Gurudev would resign here and he would enjoy California, you know, sometimes a little cold, but Gurudev liked little cold. And would resign here with his deities, with his devotees, small servitor group, not a big group. And, you know, with Janardhan Maharaj, Goswami Maharaj, other, like, discuss sometimes some deep philosophy and explain things and go on like this. Gurudev did not expect the big thing, you know. For him, this would be fine. And the fact is, we continue this Govinda Mela by the grace of devotees, and that's coming, expanding, and nourishing our hearts. Is very good. I was very satisfied to be here because I was kind of like, you know, a little bored, not bored, like you know, careless about things. You know, honestly, I was more fired up and enthusiastic certain time, and this part of my life, I thought, well, you know, just have to accept things. You know, like you may not have the best day, maybe not the best cigarette, not the best cup of coffee. Yeah, I already smoked this many years. So I'm talking about some bitter things that come in our life, you know, because our life is not, you know, sugar sweet. It's bitter, but the bitter, that's what really makes you change your mind and appreciate. Remember, it's through the suffering Mahaprabhu is coming to this world to appreciate Bhava of Radharani. Through suffering, someone appreciate friends and Krishna consciousness and things. It's not about enjoyment. The enjoyment itself, it's a very physical process. Govinda Maharaj many times said, he said, even God knows what the union is, but what separation is the feeling of the great heart. So Guru Maharaj wrote that Bhaktivinoda Viraha Dasika, that poetry about Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And when Saraswati Thakur heard it, he said, no, it's not you. Sridhar Maharaj did not write that? No, it's not Sridhar Maharaj. Who wrote this? So Sridhar Maharaj stole that? Yes. It's Bhaktivinoda himself, expressed through Sridhar Maharaj. That was conclusion of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And that Viraha Dasakam is, Viraha means separation from the Guru. And this is lamentation, and it's beginning from appreciation of Guru. It says in a time where people, just yoga become bullshit in California, and, you know, spiritual life becomes superficial, you know, like Instagram dress, and all these things become just lost its meaning. You came to this world of Bhaktivinoda and you give the real thing.